good evening, wherever you are listening across the planet. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Toni, and today we'll have an extra special guest joining me in a moment. But before we get on to that, just a reminder, if you're listening live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch or Twitter, please like, subscribe and comment. If you'd like some more info on the shows that we do or information about our new platform, Everyday Women's Network, please jump onto info@tonilotus.com. The replays of these live shows are also available on Binge Networks USA, Hero Go TV, Paz TV and Zondra TV Networks USA. Toni TV channel app is available on Roku, LG, Samsung, and we will provide the links in the chat for you. Now, we have a bit of a special offer at the moment to celebrate the launch of our very own platform, Everyday Women's Network. So for the next 3 months, you can have your 3-month subscription for the price of one. And the link is ewntv.online/sign up. That's Everyday Women's Network TV.online/sign up. EWNTV.online/sign up. Now, something that we in Australia are very passionate about is paying homage to our beautiful Indigenous culture. And so each and every show we do a welcome to country, and it goes like this. I respectfully acknowledge the people of the Yugambeh language region on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, and pay my respect to the elders past and present, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here listening and watching today. Now, this is the first in a series with a technical flavour. And I'm really privileged to introduce to you the CEO of Webnexs, David Bright Livingstone. And before I get him live on the show, I'd like to tell you a little bit about David's background. David is a digital product architect delivering solutions on e-commerce applications, VOD or video on demand, and OTT over the internet, and live streaming. These are complex architectures built on top of multiple tech stacks and deliver best streaming experiences for clients and viewers. He's also responsible for ride-hailing applications in the transport industry. David has immense experience in digital marketing, brand creation, social media marketing, SEO, email marketing, data analysis, etc., with specific and defined experience and knowledge in video on demand and OTT platform architecture, as well as e-commerce. David has degrees in technology, law, and business administration. Over the last 4 years, David and the Webnexs team have been developing, testing, marketing, and analyzing the global markets, and have gathered together some of the finest global experience in different verticals in these industries. That's not all. Webnexs has clients across the UK, the USA, Australia, Singapore, Nigeria, Oman, etc. And I am very privileged that David is part of the team that has built our new OTT platform, Everyday Women's Network. And so it's a real pleasure to welcome David to the show today. Hello, David.
Hi, Toni. It's my honor to be on the show. Thanks for the great introduction.
When David and I first met and started talking, there was an immense synergy in what I was wanting to do and what David's company provided. And it started as a talk, developed into friendship, and now we're working together company to company. And so, David, I actually would like you to start the show by telling us about your experience growing up in India. Tell us about your childhood.
So I'm David, like growing up in India to the point is like it's really easy, but the global exposure coming to that point straight away isn't really a great thing because I was a 90s kid, as we call it. And then as a 90s kid, there's no internet and no global exposure, especially in this part of the world. And 90s to 2000s, like internet was a distant thing where like very few households, not households, the browsing centers, the internet cafes would have that. And it's like a very distant thing, but then like the schoolings were awesome, so we had a very traditional cultural growing up backgrounds, which has instilled upon us a great value on like how I mean the Indian ecosystem is sitting on top of obedience and
Yeah.
serving to obedience, serving to the people, and serving your elders. And that's the vital and the fundamental thing that anybody here start. And when an elder is just telling something, we have to just obey them, no matter whatever it is, whether it is right or wrong. That's a complete different thing. But then, like, we have to give obedience to whatever they are telling them at that point. Uh, so I just grew up in a normal way, and then like wanted to go. So it was like a village ecosystem where I was put into, and then I was doing a schooling. I did a schooling in a matriculation syllabus, what we call that here, and then
Yeah.
like after that. Moving from a village to the city for my father's transfer, who is a forest officer. So we have to move to the city where I live in, which is Chennai. So I have to move here, and then from here, like it was my higher education was in the city, Chennai,
Yes.
which is like 700 kilometers apart from the native village where I was born. So it's 700 kilometers, which is like would take
Yeah.
12, 13 hours that we have to go by the road. So it was like quite a bit of distant, the new culture. Again, the city life was different for us, and the city we were
Yes.
busy commuting, and everything was a different phenomena for us, and everybody was there. And here, what we find here is like the village was rooted in that experience, obedience, culture, the tradition, and everything. And in this part of city, like in the city, it is all about the rationalism and rationalistic attitude, and you have to be like doing the best for your family, and no matter whatever it is, like just find some job, get the job done, work 9 to 5, 9 to 7, or 9 to 10 even to make your ends
Yeah.
meet. So
Yeah.
it is just hard working everywhere here, no time for anybody to sit and relax or spend time with the family. So it's two different spheres. And from there it is like and then from there, like I was doing my college graduations, which is again a traditional place.
Yeah.
It's a traditional place where we can call that as E Road. The district name is E Road. So very traditional place where farming is the primary occupation, the textiles this is a primary occupation. And I did my graduation in textiles,
Yes.
fortunately. So I was a graduate in textile technology. So I went to there and I was doing my graduation. And after that, like my MBA in international business. And though, so these are like the cultural part of India, the Indian cultural ecosystem is just built on obedience and
Yeah.
respect, and you have to study hard, work hard. So that is a phenomena. It's not
Mm.
there is no talk of easy living. So you have to make your life through a very hard work and reverence and so on. So it's a lot of things which is happening here.
Yeah.
That's a
David,
different.
in our generation, we're often described as the bridging generation. So we will remember what it was like without computers and internet. And
Yeah.
we've also had to bridge and understand the immense growth in technology. And I'm curious to know because it, we used to think of India as not having access to technology, but in our lifetime, India's exploded in the technological realms, haven't they? As a country, they've exploded into that and done extraordinarily well. Yeah?
Yeah, I accept that because, as I pointed out, like it is all about the hard work. So people are ready to work like people are ready to work for 12 hours, 14 hours a day. That no matter whatever it is, like us, like it is like we have to meet the goals done and
Yes.
delivered. So I mean, if something is asked to us, like it is our responsibility. We don't see the time. Like obviously there's a family, but then If something is getting to us in the morning, 9 a.m., we have to be rolling that as soon as
Mm.
possible before we roll up for the day, roll down for the day. Or if that is a very big thing, then we have to roll that down as quick as possible. So that very tradition of obedience, the culture, the obedience and the
And that
respect,
hard working ethic.
hardworking thing. Yeah, yeah. So if, for example, if you're telling me something, I have to go and get that done. That is what it is started in the schools, and the
Yeah.
growing up was that. So it is like, if somebody is paying you, they are your master, and you have to obey your master no matter whatever. So go get that done. So you have to explore ways to go get that done. So you cannot sit and say like, no, this is not going to happen, and we need this much of like hours, days, and months to get there. So obviously that the growing up thing is completely different. So
Yes.
when you're shaped up and you're as a kid, like when we are shaped up in that way, so the effect is like your production will be like going faster. So when I get up, normally my routine will be like, sometimes I open up my calendar at 7 a.m. in the morning, or say 7 a.m. obviously. So
Yes.
and my meetings go up to 11 o'clock in the night. So it's like
Yes.
7 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's like almost so many. I mean, it's like more than 12 hours, like 14 hours, 15 hours.
I
I'm
know.
telling
I can vouch for how hard David works, and I also know how busy his calendar is. Um, David, did you did you see that hard work ethic modeled by your parents? Was Dad a hard worker? Was Mum a hard worker?
my dad definitely was a hard worker. He was working for
Yeah.
the government of
Ah,
India.
yes.
So he was a government employee for the forest department. So I hardly during his 40s, 50s would see him sleep over 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. So I never would see him in after 6 a.m. in the home. So he would
Wow.
have left for his job at 6 a.m. though he's an officer, grade of
Yeah.
officer. So he has 3 stars. I mean, which is like so he has got 3 stars, which is the top cadre in the state. Like there is one more
Wow.
cadre above him, so he has got his own vehicles. The government would have he has given him 3 jeeps for a day, and there are 3 drivers for him on that day,
Mm.
for every day. So he would be working around the clock. So he has got a busy schedule as well. Like so, I never would see him in our house after six
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning, and he would return late at after 11:30, 12 o'clock in the night. So it's like
Yeah.
family time is 6 hours, and we would often tell him like, I mean, after his retirement, we would tell him at least now you should be in home and just keep this. And and that modeled a lot of my ideas into like how
Yeah.
we have to be working hard. But still, I'm not doing that kind of hard work that he's into.
Yes. Yes.
Still, like, but from textile technology to where we are now, you working on different technologies in computers. So technical textile technology is completely different thing. But working on
Yes.
something which we are doing right now is in last few years, it's completely a different thing, and it needs a lot of education on the go, and then like when we work, definitely when we work for EWN TV, that whatever we ask for, whatever we just think by, we were able to have that in the solution. So
Definitely.
yeah, so that kind of idea, your brain is just working on that always, all the time. Like except the time just you are off on the bed, all the time you just have work.
Yeah. David, I'm curious to know when you were a little guy, did you have any idea what you wanted to be or do when you grew up?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I was also I was also the same kind of guy who wanted to be working for the government, like most other
Ah.
Indian parents want their kids to be as well. Like, I was put up in an education system like that.
Mm.
So going to the government, serving the government of India, so like that. So and even I was doing the civil services examination, like I was through the
Yeah.
interview stage. So through the interview stage, but unfortunately or something, so I didn't go after that. Like business was always like
Yeah.
calling me from the back. Business was calling me
Yes.
from the back. That's a great calling I had, I think, for the life.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, though interview was cracked and everything was there, like through the exams, there were 2 examinations, preliminary and
Yeah.
written mains. Those were cracked, but then like the business was calling on the back, and I always wanted to be a civil servant. Definitely, that was my thing. But there was another portion which was like do some business for the living. So that was always like dragging me from
Yes.
the corner. So when it was like 22, 21, I mean, I was on two boards, like one on the civil
Yeah.
service board and another on the business. Like
Yeah.
obviously, the heaviest board is the business because justice has to be given to the business. Otherwise, like I would sink in the mid of the way.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I was able to make, when I was in 2020, 21, 22, like was able to make in the first month of the business around $2,000, $2,500.
Mm.
That's pretty good. I mean, in India, that's a pretty good, decent
Yeah.
thing. But I was like, that is like 15 years back. I was really decent, and that I was really really happy about that. The money, and I donated all the money because I don't know what to do with that money. So it's like life has like I need money, but I don't know how to spend that money. So I wanted to just
Yeah.
give that money to the family, friends, and everything. So it is like I wanted to be a civil servant, and then like the life drifted me away to the other hemisphere, which is like to the business. So
I'm
Nagpur was
so glad about that.
so the
I think the
Nagpur
world
was.
would be glad about that.
I hope so. Like I would do some service to the world.
Yeah, David. We talked about the degrees that you have earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Business, tech, and law. What made you choose law out of those three?
Okay. So law, the legal things. Again, like a few. I go by the gut
Yes.
actually. A lot of
Yes. Yes. Yes.
decisions are made by the gut, and I don't give a lot of thinking on the brain, and then like dig deeper and do some analytics and mathematics and say this won't work for me. So that was some part of the year. So the year that I was like a couple of like 2010, 8, I think
Mm.
8 to 10. So I was just
Yeah.
after my graduation in textile, I was preparing for civil services, and then that was the time I was fascinated by this law because I was reading laws for the civil service exams as well.
Mm.
So 2008 to 2011 was something like that drove me. I want to read a lot of law books and how this goes. I mean, as a kid, like 20-year old, where I did not have a lot of exposure as well. Like we
Yeah.
don't have an internet back then, back that time. So it was 2G and 3G was not there at all. So we don't have a computer. We cannot do a lot. I mean, when you want to
Yeah.
watch a movie, it just comes frame by frame. One loads and then it goes like then another frame comes in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that and you no big blogs were there. So when you wanted to do something, you have to get the books and read. So
Yeah.
I was thinking like, okay, 15 years back, like why not I do some law graduation because I was always fascinated by. I wanted to learn always. Like even
Mm.
after that, I was doing MSc psychology. So
Yeah.
the law thing was that for that time, it was at that time. So when I was doing my civil services, threw me into law graduation, and then I went into law and completed those papers like in a single go.
Mm. Yeah.
The university was glad that I was able to do that, and I'm trying to. I haven't done any masters in the law, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
approach for that as well.
Wow. Okay. That's
I want to.
impressive, David.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes like when you are sitting in your home and thinking about
yes.
tech, and when you meet a law person or the lawyer or the advocate, and when you live with them for a day, I just see like why not I do an ML, the masters in law. Just that thought, like it's just that.
Yeah. David, the journey to being the CEO of Webnexs, you started like at the bottom. You started in SEO and analytics and through digital marketing and then onto digital architecture and e commerce. Um, did you see all of those roles preparing you for the greatest role, i.e., your company, Webnexus? Were they all stepping stones to help you get to this point?
Obviously, like
Mm.
I always believe. I mean, there is one belief that I always have. So there is, to me, like personally, I believe like there is no limitation on a human potential.
Yeah.
So, as an SEO analyst, when I began my career into technology tech space, I always thought like I didn't work for the salary or the money that I wanted at that point of
You
time.
loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. And at some month, either like there was a month I remember still today that where I didn't get paid, and they were asking me about submitting the tax forms. I was just busy in working and delivering some results to the clients, and I told them that
Yeah.
this is fine. I'm not. I told them that this is fine. I'm not working for the money, so this is just absolutely okay with me. And at the end of the month, they were calling me and they are telling me like, "Are you crazy about what you're doing? You're losing the money by just doing not doing this." I told like I'm still busy with the client. The month's salary was gone, and okay, that's fine. I was able to claim that by the TDS way. Then so there was a fall from. So what the reason what the one I'm trying to say is like always when you are visioning for something bigger, so when you are shooting up the next
Yes.
thing, next thing, so you just every part of the life that we are doing right now, so here what we are doing today is always going to be a stepping stone for us. And when
Something
we
else. Yeah.
yeah, and everything like you definitely would know about compounding effects. So when you save a
Mm.
rupee and put that in the stock market,
Yeah.
your single dollar today would become at least in 5 years. You can see that single
Yes.
dollar would be like $2. So
Yes.
same way, like the business is also about it is also compounding in nature. It's also compounding in nature, and then whatever
Mm.
you have done today, and you are able to stay back on that, put that as a piling thing bottom of you, and then you sit on top of that. And build on top of that as a superstructure. When you are building a superstructure on top of the
Yes.
substructure, it always gives us very great compounding returns.
Agreed.
So yeah,
Agreed.
so it is like the percentage differs. I mean, basically, like some business can give 10%, some can be 20%, some can be 70%. And what I have seen is like I have got over 100% year on year. Like in not in terms of revenue, I always reinvest back into the company whatever I get,
Yes.
but in terms of the growth and expansion, the volume of softwares that we deliver, it just goes like so. It is all about the compounding systems and compounding effect. That is what. From SEO analyst to digital marketing to the analytics to building an e-commerce out of the WordPress system,
Yes.
and then helping a satellite company in building the very basic CRM,
Yes.
2000 in 2014 to what we have now is all a sequence of journey, uh, which which helped us to achieve where we are today. So it is like we cannot neglect. I cannot neglect that. Without SEO, would I have been done this product? Maybe I
Mm.
might not. That is, if I plug that out, I might not be able to do what I'm doing right now because
Yeah.
that gave me some funds to survive a couple of months, few months. And when that fund is coming into the company, and when I was able to pay to the teams, and when I'm relaxed for the next couple of months, so I could eventually concentrate on something else, which is like
Yes.
next feature.
Yes.
So
We're
that
going to
was
talk we're going to talk more about the amazing products and solutions that the company offers across the globe. But I was curious to know what was the catalyst that led to the development of your company, Webnexus? Can you remember thinking back, what was the moment where you thought, right, I'm going to build a company? And I know that it started with just two people and
yeah.
now it's grown to hundreds of people. But do you remember what was the catalyst that said, right, I'm going to stop working for other people, I'm going to create my own company and my own products? Do you remember what that was, or was that just an evolution?
Yeah, definitely. I do remember definitely because I mean, this is always might not be like so. I'll tell you this reason. So, I always remember something in life. So again, like in 2014, 13, 14 and 15. So
Yeah.
I was looking for a client, and then that client was like paying just for marketing alone was paying around $3,500 for a single resource,
Yes.
and the results were not great as well, actually. So actually, the results were not great because I see the team was not deployed properly. There was when they were promised one single dedicated resource for that particular client, that was not happening actually.
Uh-huh.
And similar to that, there were so many clients who have invested, but their returns were not there. They were paying for 6 months, and they say like this is not happening. When there was a meeting with the client, they would be
Yes.
promised we will see this in another quarter, so the client will pay for another quarter and so on. So it's like going by that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I was seeing all these things as a digital marketer, by that time I was a digital marketer. So I was seeing that all these things, and there was a very big gap where 2014, where these guys who pay $3,500 a month and get nothing but empty promises.
Ah.
Yeah, so that had a pain on me. Like I used to do overtime work. I mean, I get normally the same pay as I would get, but I do some overtime at night, 12 o'clock in the night, 1 o'clock in the night, because the work that I do, I love the work I do, whatever it be digital marketing or whatever it is, because always some new findings would interest
Yeah.
you. So when I was doing that, that was kind of that is a pain I had, and there was an evolution from that point, and we got a couple of clients, and they were happy to pay us for the results, and I drew them from around 20,000, $10,000 a month in sales and digital marketing to around $120,000 in 1 year time. So the scaling up
And
was
that was from your marketing strategy?
yeah. So I was I
Yeah.
was I was just myself working on that marketing strategy for that
Mm-hmm.
client. So zero was from $20,000 to $120,000,
Mm.
and that tool the language I don't know, which is Arabic. So the first client, the challenge was like in Arabic. So it is that I was a digital marketer back then, and then I that is my first client, and that too
Yes.
from Saudi Arabia, and then which is like crazy and no language. I can't know that. I don't know that. Hired and translator. Then she could translate that for me. She's from
Yes.
I think Egypt. She was from Egypt, so she did the translation for me in Arabic,
Uh-huh.
and then like was channeling all these ideas through that e-commerce site, and that was coupon based site, so it was like $120,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really great thing going, and that moment made me again push forward, saying like, okay, this is how we have to help. And then when we promise it,
Yeah.
and now today when I promise a resource to the client, I definitely say like I would give them a dedicated resource, because even if they are working or not, if there is job assigned or no, they would just sit for that client, and
Mm.
that's what has propelled us to the point. And then all these solutions that we have now are propelled by the problems in the industry. So it's all based on the solution. We want to give solutions to all the problems that we have seen on the e-commerce industry, on the video on demand. So it is like you can say there's a catalyst, but again, from that moment, all this happened as an interconnected chain of
It
things.
was
And
so it actually comes back to that desire to help businesses, brands,
yeah.
and companies get results from their marketing.
Yeah, definitely. So it is like be whatever you be $500, $1,000, whatever we get
Mm.
to like $5,000 a month retainer. So I have like everybody on my Skype or on the base camp. So what we do is like we want, if there is not something happening properly, or maybe if there is something that I would always get notified, and then go back to the team and say like we have to respond to this as soon as possible, or maybe immediately rather. So
And
I'll try my best.
I can vouch for that from a personal perspective because there's a time delay between Australia and India, obviously, and Australia and India and anywhere there's always a time delay. But I know that if we send the team, David's team, a query or a question, the team are responding virtually as soon as they start work because you're 4.5 hours behind us. So as soon as around about lunchtime, you can see the team starting to respond to those questions that we've asked in a way that's really helpful. So David's team are obviously technology based geniuses, and my team are a developing and learning team. So we don't have the tech background that David's team does, but the team explains things in a way that we get them and understand. And that's really important. If you're looking for a solution, you want the response to be in a way that's easily understood. And I can vouch for that Webnexus is absolutely great at responding to those questions around logins and why doesn't it do this the way it's supposed to do that, and can you write us this, and can you write us, it's really amazing. David, in this wonderful journey that is Webnexus as it is now, can you tell us about some of the struggles or challenges you've experienced along the way? Because one of the other things that I connected with David about was the fact that we're both self-funded. So the only way we grow is if our business grows. We don't have capital loans, etc., etc., etc. So David, from your perspective, what are some of the struggles been growing Webnexus?
Yeah, there are struggles come in different perspectives.
Mm,
Yeah, for me, like the real struggle started when I was on my own when I started this, like without. I would have told you like before. Maybe I would represent this on this show because that would be helping so many startups which even who are looking to start up their business. So I had a gold chain which I had in 2014 that is not more than 24 grams. So that is
yeah.
my first investment which I was putting on my neck, and I just gave that to a pledging bank, and they took my gold chain, they gave me some money, and then I bought a computer. That's what how it started out. So and then
Oh,
the
that's
first month.
amazing. That's
So
amazing.
and yeah, I that's like when I was 23 and
Yeah.
23. Yeah, I did have fun when I was 20. I did produce $3,000 a month, and I donated. I did all these things, and but when I started my business again, it was from scratch. So there was a lot of times when I was just going to scratch again, over and again and again and again. And there was also one point which I just had $2 in my pocket,
Yeah.
and I was just,
Yes.
yeah, literally $2 in my pocket, which is like 22,000, and I get 12, 13 years back, and there was a guy who was asking for an arm, and I was waiting for the bus in the bus station,
Mm.
and I have to just travel 6 kilometers. And the reason I'm telling is like starting from scratch is so nice. So when you are getting paid up in your early years of life, so your future can
Mm.
be very good. So I just took my $2, gave it to him, and got him a food, and I started walking the 6 kilometers,
Yeah.
and I walked all the way these 6 kilometers and reached home and had my water, and that was satisfying. So these are all teaching, like there are so many pains, of course, like when you don't have the fun,
Yes.
and when you don't have the direction, and when you are ready to give whatever you have in your pocket to the person, um, you would gain a huge confidence. And when you are ready to walk forward, so when you are ready to lose everything that you have, fundamentally, basically, so you definitely blessed with everything, because you don't hold on to anything. I mean, you are not holding on to anything. If I'm holding on to the company now, and if there's a small problem, I would fail myself to a fatal extent. So if I'm not holding on to that, but the
Mm.
problem that we asked here, or I mean, I'm not going to brief on that. It's part of the thing a lot, but the problem that we had is like a fund when I started. So I have to find a good client. I have not a good client. I have to produce good result to a client to who I'm attaching to. The first client that I, after that $3,000 client which I worked for,
Yes.
it was like who, when I lost them, I started when I started around with $200 in India. Like again, we don't like
Yes.
$200 back down to the hell.
Yeah.
$200 a month I have to pay the teams and everybody, and team would ask me $400. So $200 plus $200. I don't know from where I found that. So all these things was a problem, and then
Yeah.
2016, completely, I was just, there were nights which I was weeping. Literally, tears would roll
Yes.
out. How do I
Yes.
fund? How do I do this?
Yes.
How do I pay
Yes.
salaries?
Yes.
Everything would roll out from the eyes. Like it is a sense like you can, when you feel that pain, you definitely know like what it means. So,
Mm.
but one thing I didn't know is like there were nowadays, like it was investors everywhere. I can hear about investors, investments, and everything. but I don't want to go to that part of the business. I just want to make sure I serve the clients properly. And 2018
Yes,
came, 17, 18 came, and then where I thought this about the recurring revenue model.
yeah,
Yeah, the recurring revenue. Till that, we were supporting clients, building e-commerces and helping them out with a lot of things. And after 2018, the model of recurring payments, recurring supporting the clients on a recurring came. So
yes,
from that point, we have few clients till today who are with us. We are getting them the results, and they are with us today. And then it's going on. So till
yeah,
2018, so first 4 years were just really painful for me as
mm,
a CEO, and then like running a company where we have to
yeah,
pay these 50 odd team members, and after that it was like 2018 onwards the business started a different direction and dimension. And 2020 21 we started into this video on demand as a product,
yeah,
and till today we have added over 25 to 30 clients. I mean, on this particular e-commerce alone, and there are other 75 to 80 clients, if I can say. I mean, so we are not so much client. We don't want to have a lot of clients, but we want to have a very few to whom we can work with, we can to whom we can produce our results, and who will
yeah,
be happy about. So it is not like, okay, we found somebody and we want to onboard them, help them. No, it is not that way. So we want to help people who can be like there with us, and they can grow. So basically, it has to
yes.
be something that
Grow
they have to
together.
grow
That was
together.
the, yeah, David, that was the other thing that we gelled on was you understood the need to grow together. Like I can
Yeah,
only do this much now, but this is what I'd like to do, and that partnership I feel that Webnexus has a real partnership with their client attitude. Like it's you're invested in our growth as well as your own growth, and
yeah.
that's a really amazing model. David, you started with two people back in 2015. Can you tell the audience what the company looks like now? How many people do you have now?
So it's so close to 100.
Yeah.
They, I don't do a lot of accounting, but
Yes.
so it's close to 100 in 8 years, employing them and paying them on time. So it is like, but from two people, like when I started as a digital marketing executive,
Mm,
it is like I just started providing digital marketing solution and paying them as a very tedious task. As I told, in first four years was like close to 50, and then
yeah.
supporting them was really very tedious task for us. And after 4 years,
Yes.
like 4 years was like the recurring revenue model kicked in, and the idea. I mean, I'm not a business graduate by anywhere. I don't have a business background either. Like I don't talk with a lot of people. Back then, I was just sitting on my computer thinking and thinking all the day. I don't even talk. I don't do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm just so much an introvert. You can call me as.
Yes.
So that was it. It was going, and then like focusing on complete the business. And after that, so it was like a painful moment when every month is coming to an end. So you have to find the clients who can pay for you, and then do a
Yeah.
lot of that kind of transaction. Only if they win, they will give you the money back. Otherwise, like they'll say that this month we are closing the contract this month. So I
Mm,
think like so far I haven't seen somebody telling me we are closing the contract at the point, because I mean so far last 10 years, I mean last 8 years, that has not happened. I mean
yes.
at least the least that would have happened is like they would have told they are not going to continue on the business because they don't have the idea anymore on that particular part of the business, or they want to just
Mm,
skip out because they wanted to take a break from the business. That is what. Otherwise, like the reviews in the comments, which are would have comments like we are supportive. We want to support them as much as possible in the medium that they are, and get them whatever they want to do or get from us.
yes.
So it is
Yeah.
like two people. So the numbers weren't always my focus anytime. So from two people to where we are now, we're close to 100, wasn't the focus anytime, any at any point. It is about how we can support, and if there's a loophole in supporting, I always want to
Mm,
plug that by adding a couple of more resources to them. So like for
yeah.
example, we are doing we are doing a virtual meet. If there's a problem here, and if I wanted to depute a couple of people more to this particular show to ensure that this is going very perfectly smooth and everything as it is
Mm,
needed. So something like that. So as need arises, we plug in more team members so we can just um, give the solution perfectly. So that is what grew the numbers, and that is what also
Yes.
grew the numbers in the bank as well. So we can pay the team on time and
Yeah, yeah,
like that.
yeah. That's that. It's always on your mind, isn't it? That I need to pay my staff this
Yeah,
at this time. Is the money coming in? Yes, it is. It's all right. Relax. And then
yeah,
there's times when it gets really close to the date, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And yeah, those hard conversations that you have to make when you're growing a business. David, um, we talked a little bit before about being self-funded and not reliant on external funds. Has that's been difficult, but you've maintained that through the life of the company, haven't you? That you are self-funded and the money that you make gets invested back into the company. Um, Retrospectively, has that been a good choice for Webnexus?
but definitely because obviously I can only have food 3 times a day, not more.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm just self. So if you ask me like how much you want to spend for a month, I just keep myself very lean too much to the point like I don't want a fancy car or something. So I mean
yeah,
I'm not a fan of like all the fancy things or so great fancy brands, but or maybe a great iPhones and things. But when it's mandatory, like I have iPads and I MacBooks, but when that is a
yeah.
mandatory.
You need them.
But my team members, if you ask them, they have fancy cars, they have their new homes
Ah,
bought, they
yeah,
bought their homes, they own homes, they bought their cars, iPhones, and
yes,
um, it's like a good living for them and compared to their boss. So if you
yeah,
compare them with me, like when you compare them with me, they would look like the boss. I'm obviously like the employee of that company. So the one I'm just trying to compare here is like they would definitely wear a gold chain which is worth like for 48 grams or 50 grams or 60 grams, something like that. The
yes,
boys would do that. But if you
yes,
ask me, like, I don't want over wear a gold chain. I mean, the reason is like I want to always invest the money back on the company, so the clients can be satisfied. And
yeah,
obviously, I just need a limited. I just need something which is very limited. And
yeah,
uh, frugal living is always what I always wanted to have as well. Because
yeah,
when you are really frugal and when you are really living on your very limited thing. It gives a lot of like you're not committed to so many things. You don't want to
yeah,
think about like what I'm going to pay today or what I'm going to pay tomorrow, to whom I have to pay. To me, it is
yeah,
like only the payment to the staff members or team members. So for me, the only payment that I have to be thinking now so far is the team members payment. Otherwise, like I don't have any
yes,
other economical burdens because I don't have a fancy bike or a car or
mm,
maybe a
mm,
fancy. I mean, I have got a very good house where I live, which is like 1,550 square feet,
yes,
which this company has bought me. Webnexs has given me like very good in
yeah,
the last 4 years. It's given me that. So that, and we've also bought one more space, like which is 3,000 square feet. We bought that, and that again we are moving to our own premises. Not many software companies would be in their
yeah,
own premises. So
yeah,
we move there. It's all because of the dollars we count. Every dollar makes the compounding effect, and when it is
yeah,
compounded, it brings a very great thing. So investing self-funded money. I mean, always like when you have a great idea, and when
mm,
you are thinking, always idea has to be great, and the starting has to be little. Like you have to start small and grow big. So when you
yeah,
start small, like we have to believe in, like we have to put, and when we
yes,
start small, when we don't have money, our time is the money. Our time is money.
mm,
So I
mm,
invested a lot of money in terms of time, and still doing that.
mm,
Like still doing that. I mean, not investing money. I'm investing time as money.
mm,
I'm trading my time for money, my own time for money. So I can put
yeah,
in a lot of thousands of dollars every month into the system. So I can just still mature it.
yes,
Even this morning when I was driving my kid to the school, I was just thinking, how do I build this system still mature the system more so I can connect so many
yes,
things. I want to build e-commerce solutions. I want to give this kind of thing, that kind of in e-commerce, the video on demand solution, the chat system, the CRM systems, and how do I give this to our clients and would that be of benefit to them? And
yeah,
so just that was like happening on head, and
Yeah.
And when that is happening, like the money, when you are just caring about your client, the money would get taken care
Yes.
of. I don't. So
Yes.
now that's the basic true thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
run for money. I'm not running for money now.
Well, that's refreshingly honest and lovely to hear. David, transforming lives through technology is the cornerstone of Webnexus. And in our last 5 minutes or so, I want to know what that phrase means to you and your team and your clients. That idea that lives can be transformed through technology. I love technology. I love what it brings to my life, but I know other people that go, oh, it's just too much. I just think that the time and the era that we're living in, there's so much more to be created, and there's so much more help that technology can deliver. Is that why Webnexus uses that transforming lives through technology phrase?
Okay, so technology can be a contributor directly or indirectly to transform lives. So, for example, you and I are getting connected to through technology through
Yes,
Zoom today. Otherwise, we would have not met in our lifetimes. So,
correct. Mind
so
you, I do plan to go to India at some stage.
definitely, I would definitely want to meet you, but then like the
Yes,
technology in any form, like it's not the computer technology, maybe the technology, the aviation technology,
yes.
so that would make us closer. Otherwise, we would have to walk ourselves days and years
Mm,
to come closer.
yeah,
So technology by me, like when I mean, in our tagline which I got there, so transforming lives through technology. What I meant by that is like, so when you have a software, so it has to be transforming. Your knowledge is my I sit on, if I'm going to gain your knowledge for sure. I mean, if I'm going to gain your knowledge and if I'm going to apply that, which is my strength for the business. So which
yes,
will be definitely transforming me. And this is happening because of the technology, the software that I
yes,
give you, that the EWNTV.online, which is a medium, which is a technological medium through which you're transforming several hundreds of clients of yours, ideas and
yes.
knowledges and systems, and put together
And
all that in one
connecting and
place.
educating, and it's a
Yeah,
powerful tool for all
yeah,
of those things, for
yeah,
solving and providing solutions.
yeah,
In future shows, David, we're going to talk about a lot of those solutions that WebNexus does and delve into them a bit more. But technology can provide great solutions to
yeah.
problems that humans face. Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, like a guy from a very remote Indian village cannot do this. Like I did not, I don't really have the idea to do. I don't really know, like because from textile background, I never even, my colleagues in my college never even know how to operate a computer.
Yeah.
That's what the condition is still today. But we own over like 120 computers in our office now. I don't know, like
Yeah.
because the technology was so evolving, so evolving, so refreshing, so much very good. And I mean, you literally put anything into the technology, and if you're able to grasp something out of it, when you're seeing how to grasp so from this meeting, from this event, like I'm grasping something, I'm learning something from out of this meeting, and I'm learning
Yeah.
something out of EWN TV on online. Like when I see your programs, when I see your programs, your co-hosted series or with several other people, so I definitely learn a lot of things out from there because you give a lot of value for just $2, $2.50 for 3 months, I guess, I believe. So
Yeah.
first 3 months is that cost, and and that's so much knowledge because of technology. So I mean that is the application of technology, but as
Yes.
a application of technology, that when as a technology, then you are enabling that. So if we have got FFmpeg, we have got transcoders, we have got the PHP languages, the Python languages into it, the schedulers and other things, the SQLs,
Mm.
everything connected together to make sure you transfer that knowledge to the people. So we use
Yes.
these kind of technologies to make sure people are communicating, set of people are communicating with other set of people and doing some kind of not transaction, which is knowledge transaction. Knowledge is getting
Yes.
transacted across the medium. So That is one thing. And e-commerce, like transforming lives through e-commerce,
Yes.
means like is like you can trade your product, like you can sell your own merchandises, like if you
And you
are,
can do it from anywhere in the world. That's the beauty. Like
yeah,
I I'm an early adopter of online shopping. I don't go to the shops anymore. Anything I need, I buy online and get delivered to me. I just think
yeah,
that that is such a gift from my
it's
perspective. And that's
definitely.
what e-commerce is, that you should be able to sit in front of your computer, research whatever it is that you need, and the e-commerce solution makes sure you get that product in a certain time and delivered as perfectly as what you saw it on the screen. That's e-commerce, isn't it? And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can do it from anywhere.
yeah, definitely. You can do it anywhere. So that kind of technology, when we have that product, you definitely know that as well. We have that
Mm.
product, which is a microservice driven. Again, this is technical term. Don't I mean I'm not a I'm not a very great technical craft. Like I'm I'm from textile background. So, but then I learned all this. So if I could learn, you can also learn that. But
Yeah.
so I'm just putting this term. Don't get panicked. So it is an API driven microservices based architecture, so which means like it is highly scalable to the fact that if you
Yeah.
have even 100,000 products in your inventory or 500,000 products in inventory, you can scale that up to that extent or even more beyond that.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of like how we plan the infrastructure.
Yes. Yes.
So it is all about that. So technology can definitely change whatever I think of doing. I just want to create. We just started Webnexs want to create an impact. Impact. Otherwise, like it is not anything worth doing. You have to do it for the people. But otherwise, like it is nothing. Like if you have a lot of crazy ideas, which will be very good after 100 years, and which is not good today, people will
Mm.
definitely remember you after 100 years. They might definitely remember you, but you cannot make your living. You cannot impact lives at this point of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we think of Meta, but that is in a very early stage of adoption. But that is going to be a very
Yes.
good industry. That's one great example. Meta is a very great example. I'm not saying that is not going to take off, but it will take another 15 years, I think, at least, to make sure that the
Mm.
entire globe is going to take that because the penetration of VR, AR hasn't happened so far. People are living
No.
in reality. Yeah, people are living
Yeah.
in reality today. At least
Yes.
another decade would be passed by. So today they are investing, but that is
Mm.
not going. That would help people transform in next decade, probably in the next
Mm.
decade or so. So like
Yeah.
that. So we have to do that. Think about the
It,
present and
it
do all these things.
again, David, it's a pretty exciting era to be born in for our
Yeah,
generation. You know,
definitely.
I think, and in closing today, one of the things I read recently was around our generation being the only generation that will remember what it was like pre-computer and internet to what it is like now. Any other generation after us will not have had that experience. So we're in a unique and a very great space to have experienced that. David, we are completely out of time, and I wanted to quickly make sure that the audience knows to jump on webnexus.com and check out the business solutions that David and the company offer. I can wholeheartedly say you will love working with David and his team. So reach out in the points and talking notes that go with this show. Please jump on the links that we provide and connect with David for any questions you have and any solutions you need around your company and business. David, thank you so much for your time today. I can't wait for our show next week. We're going to be starting to delve into some of the products that David and the WebNexus team offer and their solutions. One by one, go through them and talk about them so that you understand what a phenomenal company David runs. David, thank you so much for today.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Thanks for the great time, and I'm really that's my thanks for inviting me on the show and giving me such a great opportunity to present and talk and produce my ideas and opinions.
Amazing.
Thanks a lot.
Amazing. Don't forget, next week, tune in, same time, you'll see David and I talking again about wonderful technology in this century. And that, my friends, is your lot for today. Bye for now.